We can't always fight nature, John. We can't fight change. Can't fight gravity. We can't fight nothing. My whole life, all I ever did was fight.
Then give up, Dutch.
But I can't give up, neither. I can't fight my own nature. That's a paradox, John. You see.
Dutch Van Der Linde, a man feared by locals due to his sadistic manner and lack of humanitarianism, but a theory that's been making its rounds across the internet for some time now, albeit even I'll admit is a tad far-fetched, is that Dutch Van Der Linde is a cannibal. There's apparent evidence defending this theory, as well as evidence opposing it, and in today's video we're going to be exploring this topic. This particular theory was brought to my attention at some point last year by a close friend of mine, and it was a topic I pondered on covering at the time, but ultimately never pursued the concept. Instead, I passed what information I'd be handed over to another YouTuber, one I'm sure you all know for both his Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto videos, Filbee, who himself gave his take on the matter in a video I highly recommend you check out. But after the release of RDR1 on PC recently, I decided to delve into this admittedly far-fetched theory just to see what we can come up with. So here we are. Welcome to the video. You're listening to Phil of Filbee Gaming. If you enjoy the following, you all know what to do, and if you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed already, after watching, please consider doing so. With that being said, let's get into what we came here to see. Dutch Van Der Linde, the cannibal theory. So firstly, let's talk a little about a subject that's been discussed a copious amount of times, by myself included, and that's the mental decline of Dutch Van Der Linde. Many speculate that Dutch began to crack after the death of his friend and fellow outlaw, Hosea Matthews. Others believe it was after receiving a thump to the head following the trolley crash in Saint-Denis, and others believe that the current mental state we find him to be producing in 1911 to have always been there, somewhat underlining. Whatever the cause, it's pretty clear that the Dutch we experienced in 1899 to the one we witnessed 12 years later is seemingly a completely different character. By the time we reunite with him as John, Dutch, although he remembers John well, has lost all love for his former adopted son. Considering their final meet prior to this, where Dutch simply walks away after saving John's life in 1907, it's puzzling to think what occurred within these past 4 years, shaping the sadistic man we now witness. Dutch was always obsessed with survival and would show no hesitation in regards to using other people as resources, seemingly uncaring for their well-being. We could see this as he often sends others out in his absence, despite the potential dangers that lie ahead, heists and robberies for example, and although this could be speculated that it's simply a gang leader giving his followers orders, this particular characteristic trait of the outlaw worsens over time, as we see him using an innocent girl to shield his own escape, similar to Heidi McCourt on the Blackwater ferry heist.
He's a better man. Have the girl, John.
Easy, Dutch.
She's a parting gift from me.
Oh! God damn!
Actions such as these show that Dutch has little to no regard for human life, but again, what changed with the character over the course of a few short years? What triggered a switch in his mind to alter him from the caring individual who once sheltered a broken Sadie Adler to the psychotic individual we would encounter much later? Well, this is where the cannibal theory begins to emerge. After defeating Dutch Van Der Linde towards the latter stages of Red Dead Redemption, the player is free to explore the ruins of Cochinay, the final home of the former gang leader. Inside, there is evidence regarding the cannibal theory, primarily skeletal remains. When compared to animal bones, it's clear that these remains are human. One could speculate that it's simply a visual asset reused by Rockstar to save time, as these are the same bones used in the American Appetite side quest, and this may very well be the case, but one could also speculate that this poses today's theory. But are human bones enough to form this outlandish theory, as well as a suspicious looking bathtub covered in either bloodstains or rust? Maybe not, but there is other evidence supporting this, albeit a little thin. There is something Dutch mentions to Arthur Morgan during a camp interaction.
Give it time. Look at the birds. Look at the beasts. Copy what the best ones do.
Could this evidence towards the cannibal theory, or is it simply an excerpt from a book Dutch is reading? We could also speculate about the current company Dutch keeps in 1911, his new gang of misfits and outlaws. When exploring Dutch's new home of Cochinay with Nastas, our newfound friend is ambushed by one of Dutch's men. If we look at the manner of how the foe attacked, it's animalistic, very similar to how the deranged serial killer Edmund Lowry Jr. attacked Sheriff Malloy in Valentine, another character who's cannibalistic, with both assaults almost identical to one another.
You are a frightening fella.
Oh, I'll behave, sir. I'll behave as expected.
Well, you better. And I'll get you a lawyer, don't you worry about that. You get in that cell, calm as you be.
Did Dutch fall in with a bunch of cannibals and adopt their way of life? The idea of cannibalism isn't new to Rockstar games. We saw it during the American Appetite side quest.
Oh, my good lord! Please get that man away from me! Hey, fella!
You broke this poor fool's leg, mister.
This maniac tried to eat me! We've got cannibals in these here hills! Please help me!
What?
Please!
Fella's gotta eat now. Fella's got to eat.
Save me from this freak, please! Please!
Another is Donald Love from the Grand Theft Auto series.
My God, this is good. It tastes just like chicken, but somehow more, sentient. You want some?
I already ate, thanks.
Ugh, too bad. It's fantastic.
So it's not overly far-fetched to think that Rockstar might add this personality trait to one of the main characters. Some could speculate that the human remains in Cochinay are simply decor, and that may be feasible when referring to the skulls and hanging femurs, but it doesn't make sense to have other bones scattered seemingly randomly across the floor. And considering in Dutch's main tent, these femurs are placed underneath his sitting chair, aided by a plate of unknown meat on the table, things are pointing towards cannibalism. Of course, these bones could be considered trophies of Dutch's kills, referring to his deranged mindset, but one has to wonder. We're already aware of Dutch's disregard for human life. Could this characteristic of the man stretch as far as feeding from the local populace? Referring back to Dutch's final moments where he says the following:
Then give up, Dutch.
But I can't give up, neither. I can't fight my own nature.
This could tie in with the previous statements he made to Arthur Morgan about becoming like beasts in nature, which refer to their animalistic ways, the circle of life. Was Dutch somehow coming to terms with himself and his own animalistic nature? But why would Dutch turn to cannibalism when there's plenty of resources surrounding him? Not only do we have the wildlife that inhabits tall trees, but Cochinay itself plays host to its own livestock. It seems unnecessary, and this is where players draw the line of the cannibal theory. But let's look at this from a different angle. Cannibalism is often considered to be part of certain cultural and mythological heritages, and is often associated with the Wendigo. The Wendigo is a supernatural, cannibalistic monster that's thought to control the minds of those who partake in the consumption of human flesh, eventually turning them into one of their own. This is described as a psychiatric condition known as Wendigo psychosis, in which the victim would display thoughts and behaviours such as paranoia, anxiety, hallucinations, and more importantly to the video, cannibalistic urges. Of course, this is only mythological, tales told to frighten young children, but considering Red Dead Redemption is a video game, anything is possible. But it still begs the question, why would Dutch turn to cannibalism? Cannibalism is, as terrifying as it sounds, a real thing. Studies have shown the thoughts of cannibalism can derive from one's instinct to survive, trauma and abuse, ritualistic aspects, environmental upbringings, or mental illness, although the latter is a varied concept. So which one of these, if not more than one, could contribute to the theory of Dutch becoming a cannibal? His instinct to survive, although high, is probably out of the window due to the resources surrounding him, as well as ritualistic aspects to his life, as the Van Der Linde gang were of course not cannibals. We know it wasn't his upbringing, so the only realistic theory we can summarise towards is a mental illness brought forward by trauma. Dutch has experienced so many traumatic things in his life that could contribute to his decline in mental health, eventually leading to cannibalism. The death of Hosea Matthews, the possible brain injury caused during the trolley crash, or even potentially his own actions causing the fall of his once loved family could all contribute to this, eventually breaking the man, forming him into the character we encounter in 1911. Of course, this theory can be considered to be greatly exaggerated, and there is evidence debunking it when we take a more logical approach. For example, the bones we uncover at Cochinay could simply be decor, trophies of his kills, but what of the remains of the victims? Probably fed to his livestock. We also have, as discussed earlier, the surrounding woods of tall trees teeming with game for poachers, so there's no real need for Dutch to feast upon human flesh when there's plenty of wildlife to go around. To top this off, the only real evidence we have supporting this theory is the quote he gave to Arthur Morgan, which isn't really enough to go on, but regardless, it was fun making this video. Today's outlandish theory was simply for entertainment purposes, so please take it for what it is, a piece of entertainment. If you enjoyed what you saw today, you all know what to do, and if you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. Thank you for watching. You've been listening to Phil of Filbee Gaming, and I'll see you in the next video.
Our time has passed, John.